must say, but I don't judge anyone when it comes
Well,
to
and those are
this.
legitimate ways. Some people need to be judged in certain ways, and it's not even like a bad judgment. It's like and I hate to call it judgment. It's more of a, you need to be made aware of this because not it's I'm gonna be the nice one and tell you the nice way. Other people may not be so nice. So
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't judge, I analyze. How about that?
and
That's the
there you
word of the
go.
day,
And yeah,
right?
there you
I,
analyze. I
I
feel like that's
analyze
much.
the good and bad behavior of those that interact with me, and then I move accordingly. That's my word of the year.
There you go.
Analyze.
Yep. And then situational awareness is always very important.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah, situational awareness and
People
what's that
forget
one?
about situational awareness. They're like, oh crap, I forgot that was a thing.
I know. And there's something else. Selective outrage. That's the other one from
Selective
2023.
hearing is another one.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
So with
selective
you,
outrage has been that's been a big one lately. We should talk about that sometime.
yes, we should, because I know that what didn't what's his name? Chris Rock name his special, his comedy special that after he got slapped by Will Smith. Selective outrage, I think it was called.
Well, I don't know. Did he come out with something after that?
Yeah, yeah.
That
Last
wouldn't
year he did a
surprise me.
comedy special. Yeah, he talked about it for the first time. He must have got paid like billions and billions of dollars, right? Could you imagine?
Well, and the funny part is that him and Jada aren't even married, weren't married at the time. And even she was like embarrassed, like, what is this fool doing?
I know. Could you imagine? Like I look at like I've dated women and they will give like a dirty look and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever come across man or woman that's willing to get into a physical confrontation with someone in public and in a very public area like that, right? It's kind of tough.
You'd be surprised, but that's why you are the company that you keep, and you also just know what areas to avoid. I'm not going to name any specific places, but there are a lot of places and a lot of different destination adventures that people like to go on that bad things always end up happening. And I'm like, that's why I fly and get Airbnbs.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So are you implying that you've slapped a couple of people in your time?
No, I haven't, but I've wanted to. And then somebody else did it for me because they got mad at them. And I was just like, cool, God's work is amazing.
Ladies and
Like,
gentlemen,
and
violence is never the answer. Let me clarify that right now.
violence is never the answer, but it's not. If I'm not the one that's doing it, I'm not the one that's going to get in trouble. If someone's going to hold you accountable, let them hold you accountable. I'm just probably going to give you a dirty look and be like, you know, you wrong right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I guess here where I am in Canada, it's a little bit different because most people don't have a gun. Where in the States, most people do. So the
Yeah,
consequences are a little bit different, I would say.
we'll touch on that topic another time. But yeah, no, the open carry laws around here, especially in the South and Midwest, are insane. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today.
No, no, we're here to talk about something that's a little bit more on the radar of parents, not necessarily. It's interesting. Like we're here to talk about, I guess, raising a child in a world where people are negotiating how they feel and the different pronouns and different genders. And what's interesting is I still strongly believe this impacts probably a smaller group of people, but because this the group of people, the demographic, they're so loud and they're very aware of what they want people to know. I think that's why it's beginning to impact a lot more people. I know for you, you have a very young daughter who's growing up in a world that is being shaped like this. So what's some of the conversations that like you and your husband have with her and her place in the world, I guess?
Yeah, so well, I mean, that's kind of something that we are still trying to navigate because one thing that we don't want is we do not want other people or a school system pushing a narrative on them. We have my husband and I, like, we don't know everything. We're not the Messiah. We're not God. We're not all is better. We're not almighty. Like, we get that, but we also know research. And like I said, me being an under or a graduate student trying to get my, my bachelor's in psychology and, counseling and stuff like that, That is something that really needs to be talked about at a home level. And there are so many people that are very progressive people, and I love it. I appreciate it. But like, we need to be progressive in, other matters. And that they it's like the people that are, in my husband and I's opinion, and the people that are preaching that we're the wrong people or we're the bad people for allowing our kids to still go to school, and around the same people who are willing to teach them said quote unquote pronouns, whatever. They're the ones that are just like calling us the whatever names they like to call us, and just because we don't agree with it being taught in a public setting like that. Like, my husband and I, we are just very much not against it. We're very much pro our daughter having an open mind and learning what the life in the world is about, learning about things that are going to come across her that she may not understand. But my husband and I will give her all of the facts. I don't want a state curriculum to give her what they consider facts, because let's be honest, we live in the South, in the heart of the Bible Belt. You already know where that's going to go. So we want our daughter to have the accurate information before making choices. But at the same time, a lot of us really think that there is an age and a time and a place for that. And 9.5, 10-year olds, that's not it.
Yeah, that is
Like,
quite young when you think about it.
yeah. And they're really starting to push that on. Like, when I was my daughter's age and going into fifth grade, that's when they start teaching you about your body changes, not pronouns.
I wonder, and I was thinking about this because I was watching an interview today, and there's giving some stats that there's about like at least here in Canada, there's like 70 to 80% of the people, they want to know what's being taught in the school, like the parents, they want to know what's being taught in the schools. They want to have maybe the option of understanding why this is being taught, and if they don't think it's appropriate for their child or if it's too controversial, they have the option to opt out. And I wonder if this would be something that's easier if they were to just say, hey, this is the curriculum from September to June, and the parents get to review it and understand what is being taught, and maybe they can make a decision versus a lot of parents are being caught off guard by what's being taught.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a good topic you brought up, because unfortunately here in the United States, it's very state dependent, and any state can do whatever they want, and the school education system is up to the governor of that state. So we're very 50-50 divided on that. And it's like they don't sit down and tell us what our kids are learning for the year. They'll send out a weekly thing, but at least where we live, at least our experience with our daughter, and it's like, I mean, basically the only way to shield them from that is by putting them in private school. And we did the private school route. It was not the best thing for us. And to me, I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about at a home level, because kids already have this expectation of, I have to go to school because I have to. So then if you're sitting there talking to them about information like that, then they automatically think, oh, well, I'm at school because I have to learn this. So that means I have to learn that. And that is, I think, where the divide comes. But that's where I get into the hypocritical people, because it's like those same people that are screaming equality are the same ones that are like, oh, we can't be doing this in the classroom, or vice versa. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's like, I feel like you can't win here in the United States. No matter what we do, we can't win. And if you're in the Bible Belt, pardon my French, but you're screwed. Sorry. You're screwed 9 ways to Sunday. If you live in the Bible Belt, especially the heart of it, you are. Mm. And that's just kind of where it's lying. And a lot of us parents have correlated and come together and just been like, hey, we're going to teach our kids, and we don't really have a say on what this our school systems, at least in the state that I live in, we don't really have a say on what they learn. The only thing we can do is just know what's going on in the world and be aware of it. and just have those conversations with your children beforehand, because if they can form an opinion on it before someone tries to shove it down their throat, and in my opinion, I feel like that's better off. I am a pro-choice person, and I am pro thinking, pro do whatever you need to do, whatever you feel is right. But I just feel, I feel like if you don't talk to your children beforehand about the things that are so different in the world nowadays, you're gonna come to weird forces of people that are cramming it down your throat and making you think that it's right. And then, what are you gonna do with those people who go their whole life thinking that it's right and then they realize it's wrong?
Like it does
That's where
seem,
resentment and hate starts coming in.
yeah, like it does seem like from the outside looking in, from what Americans are going through, that every, let's say, year to 2 years, there's something that's brought up to divide the country, right? Like now you
That's
have,
that's their agenda.
yeah, like now you have the pronouns, and before that you had like BML, and then you had White Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, then
BLM,
yeah, then
BLM.
before, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like you had BLM, and then to counter it, you had Blue Lives Matter. Then to counter that, you had white all lives matter. And then you had
No, we
that
always
before
have
that.
something to counter something, and it's
Hmm.
nonsense. It's like, can we not just go back to living in a world where people learned about things at age appropriate times in their life? Like, why do
Well,
I have to worry about sending my 10-year-old daughter to school and her coming home asking me questions about something that a 10-year-old should not know about at that age?
I think if it's going to be something that is a part of sex ed, I can understand its place.
Yes, but
Right?
this is, they're taking, it's almost
Yeah.
like they're taking sexual education out of classes, which is why we have so many teen pregnancies in the United States, and replacing it with, but like I said, every state is different. Like, my state is not really pushing that direction, but I know people that have kids in other states and they're just like, I'm not against it. You are what you are. It is what it is. But like, can I not teach my own kids at my own level and my own pace?
So what would be if it's state, because that's similar to here, right? Like province to province, city to city, there are differences. So what would be the alternative at that point if your only option is to say, okay, either I'm okay with this, which it seems like most people are okay with it as long as they're aware. But if you're not going to be aware and you can't afford private school, what's the alternative then?
That I don't know, because I mean, I we can afford private school. We're just not going to go that route again. Our daughter just thrives much better in public school. She loves it. She's a competitive cheerleader, so it works out better. But I mean, I guess the only thing I can say to do, and I hate to say it now, because before, like in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, they told you everything. But nowadays they don't. It's just like your kids come home and they start asking questions, and I feel like parents just really need to be super involved. Like, I am very involved in my daughter's